Hey there, YouTube community. It's Hannah. Happy New Year's Eve. We're closing out 2025. There's going to be probably some fireworks that you can hear in this video because people are lighting them off. I'm having a cocktail and I'm going to do a 2025 year in review, like Electric Garden style. I have a couple categories here. I was gonna just do like work, money, I'm gonna get into the realm of like, now I gotta explain this whole thing to make a point here. I'm gonna try to make it a little more interesting. So I wrote this on a shitty envelope. So my categories are gonna be intellectual and philosophical shifts that I've had this year. My proof of work ledger. Proof of work is the protocol that Bitcoin is based on, but it turns out that a lot of the core first principles of Bitcoin are like definitely applicable to all kinds of other things in life. So I'm borrowing that, just like when I talk about males as force projectors, I borrowed that from Bitcoin, the Bitcoin lexicon. So my proof of work ledger means like the stuff I worked on that didn't necessarily get priced in the market, but it got worked on this year. My body and my nervous system, relationships, work, money, and leverage. That's one category. Creative output, hard lessons, and then what it is that I'm going to carry into 2026. So if you're watching this video, I am going to be very self-indulgent here with my year review. So I suggest that you might just want to switch to another video, bro. Like, I'm not sure that this is going to be interesting for anyone. It's not intended to be boring, but I've noticed that every year at New Year's, I think, what was I doing last New Year's? And like, what was it even about? And like, do you know what I mean? So much happens and then it's just, so I'm kind of doing this for myself in the future. Hi, future Hannah. Good job. I'm sure you unfucked all this. Great. I'm kind of doing it for myself. I could make it private on the YouTube channel, but I'm going to make it public. And I'm not sure what anyone can get out of this. Okay? So that's on you if you want to keep watching. But I kind of feel like I need to do this for myself, and I don't think that I have bad perspective to put out. Okay, so without further ado, I will say that 2025 was apparently the year of the snake, I guess, and that's like a closeout of the last, it's like shedding a snakeskin of the last 9 years, apparently. And when I count back, I'm like, that checks out, and that snakeskin can fuck right off. I'm tired of living the aftermath of that. And let's close that out. 2026 is apparently the year of the horse, which is like, okay, now let's get up to speed. And that's the worst analysis that you'll ever hear about what the snake and the horse are about. But, there you go. All right. I'm going to be pretty self-indulgent here. Intellectual and philosophical shifts in 2025. Okay. So this was a big one. Intelligibility. I realized that I have to find an audience because my brain isn't going to stop thinking about shit that the way that it does. And the dominant experience of my life, one of them has been to enthusiastically sort of verbalize or explain like how it is that I see things in all kinds of settings with all kinds of people. And then for them to be basically some version of like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And if I was really bad at verbalizing and really bad at talking and really bad at putting together ideas, which in some ways I am, right? Because I don't feel like I can tell that I'm not doing it the same way as other people necessarily. And I'm not trying to be different. I'm not trying to do it different. It just works a certain way for me. So then you run into that like over and over. And I'm talking about like since I was a young child. I decided to be vegetarian the first moment that I heard that meat came from animals. And just to be safe, like I'm not about to launch into some kind of like vegetarian lecture. Literally no one likes that. I found that out. But I'm just saying the way that my mind put that together was like very, animals are my brothers and sisters on this planet. I literally love them more than people. Not going to eat them. I'm kind of shocked that other people are. So I'm not going to do that. And it was just, I've never relitigated this. It just, I was like 6 years old, 5 years or 6 years old, put that together, heard this shocking information that we're like eating our brothers and sisters, decided I'm not gonna. I had to go figure out what meat was. I didn't even know. Never relitigated it. Not one time, you know, got a ton of shit from the teachers and the church ladies and the lunch ladies and all that. One of the worst experiences, honestly, was at grad school, which those fucking libtards, you know, they got a like a victim narrative about everything, but it's not about that, you know. So it's been a lot of weird experience. But anyway, what I'm saying is like, I never set out to be different or think about things differently or talk about things differently. But that was just one example. I just feel like it's been a constant experience of running up against this thing where I'm just not intelligible. And I'm trying as hard as I can to be intelligible. But I'm also very, one might even say severely introverted. And it's kind of like the chicken or the egg, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't understand why people think it's so relaxing to socialize. It's not relaxing for me. I don't know how to like not talk about the shit that I care about, and I don't know how to like talk about it a different way. This is gonna go into like, I think I'm gonna close out with what my resolutions are, because I'm actually starting to like, I'm 49, you guys. I'm actually starting to like get ahead of this a little bit. It's taken apparently 5 decades, but it's just been weird. It's been weird. Okay. So that's not just like a 2025 thing. That's like ever since 1976 thing. But I did start this YouTube channel. I guess I'll talk about that a little further down in creative output. But I think that it's okay. Like, it's just okay. Like, we live in a fucking crazy matrix that promotes and rewards like insane behavior and punishes like rational behavior and like functional behavior, and has everybody like super dysregulated. And I just don't think that the way I'm putting together ideas is wrong. I know that it's like fledgling. I know that it's immature. I know that, you know, I'm kind of in real time, for instance, on this channel, sort of like moving from one concept to another concept, like as I move myself along. But that's one of the things that I sort of realized this year. Okay, again, the category is intellectual philosophical shifts, is like, I guess I'm not gonna stop being, am I neurodivergent? I don't know. Am I autistic? I don't think I'm autistic. Like, whatever the fuck I am, I'm clearly not gonna stop being that way. And I'm perfectly capable of small talk. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, fuck small talk. I can do small talk. I can totally do small talk. And I actually really get off on like vibing into the thing that's being offered and like resonating with that. And I have such a bizarrely varied background and life experience because of being so occupationally like mercenary and like having this super weird background of like not just where I grew up, but all the places I grew up, like all these different sort of like components of like humanity that I've interfaced with as a result of like all my jobs and places and stuff like that. Like, it's not hard for me at all. It's actually super easy, barely an inconvenience, to take anything that somebody says and to like be able to like find some common ground with them. And I get off on it too. I really, really love that. So I am not like I'm not an introvert where I'm like, I don't like small talk. You know, I kind of feel like that's a little bit of a pussy move, and it's like a little bit of a cop out. But there's something different about my plumbing, and it's just okay. It's just okay to realize that. It's just okay to realize that. And then to say, I'm going to value it. I'm going to value the way that I put ideas together. I think that there's something for me in it, and there might be something for other people in it. And I'm just going to open my horizons to other audiences where I might find more resonance and I might find more intelligibility. And it's not that my friends, my social circle, they're not doing anything wrong, but like you just kind of like run into certain walls. And I one thing that came through for me this year is sort of like I've always been in like the sort of the arts and the liberal arts. I'm a blue collar tradesperson by profession, but like I studied classical guitar, got a undergraduate degree in it. Then I studied creative writing for my master's, and I'm like heavily involved in just like creative type stuff. So I never studied engineering or saw myself as any kind of like engineering minded person. And in fact, I have my older brother who I'm really close with. He's an indie game developer and has been a programmer and major like engineer mindset guy all of our lives. And so, I think in a sense, when you have a sibling who's like so one thing, then it makes you conceptualize yourself as so the other thing. And we definitely look like that, right? We definitely look like that. But I think this year I've realized that I'm actually way more of a systems kind of thinker than I ever realized. But I haven't positioned myself in that professionally, and I haven't sort of like used the right language for it. And so I think that's where some of this like unintelligibility is happening. And I haven't thought about myself that way before, but when I do kind of consider, like, I get really frustrated about how many things we consider through the lens of ideology, versus just like structural analysis or sort of like engineering or like functional, like just how does shit work? Like, how do people work? How do relationships work? Like, because that removes the moralization and the judgment and the finger pointing and the blame. I like to see what makes people tick. I like to ask what makes myself tick. It's not about making anybody right or wrong. And it kind of makes me crazy how many of our conversations assume and they presume that somebody needs to be sort of like the winner, the loser, or the good person or the bad person, like at the end of that, And we certainly have enough like bad people and bad shit going on in the world. I'm not above saying that's some bad shit. Those are some bad people doing some bad shit. I told you I was going to be self-indulgent. I love memes, and I think my favorite meme that I saw today about Minnesota, all the fraud with the daycare centers with no children in them, with the Somalis in Minnesota. It was aliens. I just did this video recently where I pulled heavily on aliens for like alpha male archetypes, with Hicks and Hudson. Anyway, this meme was like Ripley saying to Hicks, "We've got to nuke Minnesota from orbit. It's the only way to be sure." So yeah, there are some bad people and there are some bad things and there's some stuff that people shouldn't do, and it's totally going on. But I mean, I'm just talking like in, normal sort of like interpersonal world, and just like looking at men, looking at women, looking at lots of different things. I just got frustrated with all the blaming and the finger pointing and the moralizing. And yeah, maybe I am more of a systems thinker and I just haven't positioned myself as that person. And maybe that's part of what's going on. So, I do have like a little anecdote to share about that sort of like helped this come through for me. I have on my notes here, upstream, downstream. So yeah, apparently this is another thing I wasn't really aware of until it just kind of manifested and came out. But like, I see schematics in my mind. I think of things as being like upstream or downstream, almost like plumbing or maybe electricity. Like if you have a problem down here, like what's upstream of that, and maybe like solve that problem. So this is something that happened a long time ago. Okay, I grew up on the Navajo reservation. I was used to Navajo people. I was used to Navajo girls that I went to high school with. They're way different from white girls. I'm white. They're way, way different. So then I went to college when I was 18, okay? And I lived in the dorms and I was around these fucking insane white girls. And they're just like screaming and like running in the halls and like totally putting like whipped cream from the can like into their mouths and like slashing each other's boyfriends' tires in the parking lot, and just like they're so much. And I mean, I guess that's just how white girls are, but like I said, coming from the reservation where you don't even like look, that you don't like direct eye contact is so aggressive on the reservation, and people's body language is like so pulled in, and they're not shy, you know. It's like, it's just a different way of being, and that's what I was used to. And so the white girls in the dorms for me were just like fucking screaming banshees of chaos engine insanity. Like I was having a really hard time with it. I was having a really hard time. Anyway, so they were just like eating unbelievable garbage all the time, and like just everything. Then this is my first, you know, I guess it would have been my second semester, whatever. Anyway, leading up to spring break, a couple weeks before spring break, I guess they all had spring break plans and they needed to be in their bikinis for spring break. And so then there was like this herd twitch, and all this other crazy shit started happening where they were like crash dieting and like starving themselves. And then they were all like talking about the starvation and the dieting and like the crazy stuff that they were doing to try to like lose weight and then be like in whatever shape they wanted to be for their bikinis. And like I was studying classical guitar, and like I was just like playing scales all the time, and like I wasn't lifting yet. I didn't know to lift weights yet, but I like ran every morning and stuff. And this was like I just fucking drew a line in the sand, like mentally at this point. And I was like, this is crazy. And this is all I wasn't thinking these, but I was like, this is all like some weird, like downstream shit. It's like coping. And there's something upstream of that. And it's like, just figure out a lifestyle. And it doesn't have to be like a super severe, like it has to be, if you're going to make a lifestyle, it has to be comfortable and enjoyable for you, you know. But figure out a recipe so that you can just look the way that you want to look, like all the time, you know. And like this pendulum swinging and this like complete chaos and insanity, like I just couldn't see it. And I was like, why would you do that? Like figure something out that's upstream, you know? And this kind of stayed with me, and it's like, this is the frustration I've always had, where I'm just not like looking at things the same way, but I don't understand why people are doing what they're doing. And I'm not saying that my life, is an example of like, oh, just do it this other way and then everything goes really smoothly, because actually in a weird way, if you do live in a matrix that's designed to make everyone fat, sick, gay, dumb, poor, under muscle, low T, then it turns out that if you do kind of go upstream from that, then that's hard in its own way. So I wish I could say, so I did it a different way and I work smarter, not harder. And, you know, in many ways I have completely sidestepped and avoided so many forms of suffering that I see going on with other people. I mean, certainly, like in many ways, but there's also been a lot of churn in my life. So it's not even about that. It's not even about like, is this more fun, or you know, which one's more easy, which one's more fun. So then you kind of have to ask yourself, like, what does that come down to? And I think for me, it's something like first principles. I feel like this is already really boring, but it's not boring for me. So anyway, intellectual philosophical shifts that I had this year. I think it's just that I'm just going to fly my freak flag of like seeing things as systems and seeing things as being upstream and downstream and trying to like sort of troubleshoot things at that level. And I know that this is not going to translate, and I'm trying to be more intelligible, but I'm just going to have to find my audience. And that's one reason that you'll see my YouTube channel, it seems so, you know, people are like, what is this channel about? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm figuring it out. I'm trying to figure out what my audience is and like what my main thing is. And it's not been easy for me to figure that out, you know, because I have so many interests. So anyway, okay, that's the first thing. Proof of work ledger. Okay, so this is like stuff I worked on that didn't necessarily like pan out, or get priced high in the market or whatever, which is kind of the case a lot. I feel like I always do a lot of stuff, and maybe I'm doing it wrong, but it just doesn't. I mean, coming out of like the fake pandemic, I went pretty hard on just shit posting memes. So for one thing, like, I mean, maybe we're out of that, but like all of my social media is still, it seems to me that it's still somewhat shadow banned. That's what it seems like to me. And I'm like, whatever, these 7 people are fucking into it, that's fine. I'm not doing social media for like mass appeal. Literally, when I see something that like, I'm going to be doom scrolling because that's how I get my news. You can't trust that. Well, what are you doing? Like watching the MSM. So, I like to know what's going on. So in my news sources, they tend to be peppered pretty heavily with memes. And some of those memes are so goddamn funny and just insightful that it's like physically impossible for me to like keep it to myself. Like, I don't even know how people do this, where they just like see a funny meme and then they're just like, LOL. And then that's it. Like, I have to see, I have this sort of like broadcasting nature. I'm like, other people have to see this. Like, I have to be the distributor. And then, so of course I've been in Facebook jail like 15 fucking times, and like sanctioned on Instagram, and like sanctioned everywhere. Like, the first time I tried to do a YouTube channel, it got shut down after like my 3rd video. Like, I got deplatformed. This was in 2021. So, so it, like, I'm very familiar with the feeling of like never ever getting any traction, but doing good shit anyway. Like, I know I'm doing good shit. I don't know if it's good. I know it's not good according to certain standards, but I'm also like, fuck those standards, Here's where I can say something. Like, at the end of the day, right now, it might be worth it to just make stuff and do stuff, because it's not AI. I'm not AI. You know what I mean? I think 2026, honestly, is going to be the year that like we reach some kind of crazy ass like threshold or tipping point with AI. Because I mean, look what's already, it's wild, Like, a year from now, what the fuck is going to be the case with AI? Like, what is that going to look like? And I don't think that any of us is really prepared for that, although it's a wonderful tool that we can use. But I'm just saying, if there's never been a better time to just establish like a sort of date and timestamped ledger of like being a real goddamn human being with like authentic thoughts and feelings. And AI can do a lot of things, but AI cannot have the kind of 2025 that I had. I like to see AI do that. So, like, this is something that's never been a particular carrot or like motivator before, to just like be a real person in all like garbagey, like unpolished glory, to just like say real stuff and be a real person. But like, this might be the time, you guys. This might be the time to like put some date and timestamps on that. Okay. What did I do? What the fuck did I do this year? So I did so much. Okay. Lifting, amazing. That was like a total slam dunk this year. There's definitely one area of my life that I just knocked it out of the park. But I'm going to talk about that actually further down in body and nervous system, the next point, because I like to do barbell lifting with progressive overload methodology. So I'm going to talk about that further down. Music. Oh God. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I have been for a long time. And I don't know that I've ever had a more frustrating year than this one. I did manage some output. Okay, so I got, I think, a grand total of 2 songs out on, Spotify, YouTube, Hannah Praley, it's under my name, right? All the streaming platforms. Kiss Kiss Bang was great. That was a great one. And and another one. So they're both great. Got those out. Another good thing is that I started collaborating with a guitar player who lives in New York City, who is just a phenomenal composer of music, and he doesn't do like lyrics and vocals, you know. And I've been messing with AI with Suno, that's like the AI like music to we ended up taking four songs of his that were musical compositions. He's a shredder of a guitarist, and writing lyrics, writing vocals, producing those with Suno, and I need to put these on YouTube. They're just so good. They're just so good. That was a really fun project because this is the year that I pretty much like taught myself how to produce music. I'm not talking about just like putting in prompts and just, oh, see what happens. I'm talking about like having a very, very clear idea, and learning how to put in the right input, get the right output out of Suno. And I've been, recording music and doing the studio thing for a long, long time. And this is way cheaper. It's way faster. It's frustrating in its own way, and it has its own learning curve, but you can do amazing things. And so it was really cool to figure that out this year. And yeah, I need to put those songs. It's just, I'm a little ishy because it's not me singing it, but it's the the lyrics and the vocal lines that I created based on this guy's guitar crease. So, that was a really good thing. Less fortunately, the entire hard drive with like all of my projects that were ongoing with my sound engineer, that hard drive broke this year. And to include like 12 tracks that not only had I already paid the bass player and the drummer for, and a bunch of other stuff too. I mean, I had like thousands of dollars like sunk into this, but the bass player was a friend of mine who died not too long ago. And so I'll never have that back. So that hard drive broke, and there have been attempts to recover it that are increasingly like expensive as we go. And we just kind of like stopped at the point where me and my sound engineer like couldn't afford to be doing this shit anymore. We got to do a clean room recovery. So the music got real stalled real hard, which is why I pivoted really hard into learning how to do AI production. Then I went on to track some vocals for really fantastic songs at a studio in Hawaii where I live, except now I'm going to be moving, but where I live. That went really great. It was really expensive. Got those to my sound engineer to put together we're trying to get over this whole speed bump. And then he's been dropping, honestly, sorry, Jeff, if you're watching this, he's been like dropping the ball with me like for a long time now. And I love him, and he's got other stuff going on, but he really drops the ball with me. So I'm not going to try to like galvanize somebody. If they want to work with me, that's fine. If they don't want to work with me, that's fine. We're going to be friends regardless, but like this shit ain't working. You know what I mean? So I spent money on doing a workaround, and then we still can't. So I have very little musical output this year, despite a fucking lot of work on my part. So, then kind of same thing with modeling. I really like modeling, and I know that's weird because I'm like almost 50, but I really found my way into this, and I've been kind of like off and on involved in it. And I'm super amateur because I'm generally like nobody's like knocking down my door and like paying, but I just I love the camera, and I love to do fashion photography, and I love to do like art photography and like model and like experiment with different kinds of aesthetics and looks. And I'm really kind of good at it for an amateur, and I have an amazing body of work. And I have my best yet like photographer for the last couple of years that I was working with. And then he basically lost interest in our project also, you know what I mean? So it was like I had like a musical outlet thing going on, and that guy just sort of dropped the ball. And then I had a photography modeling thing going on. That guy he's not into it, So I mean, I guess I could, and to some extent maybe I am like experiencing these things as rejection. And maybe they are rejection, like, so that feels like shit. But I'm not going to stop having these interests. I stop having avenues for them until the next avenue comes along. But my shit is badass. And in conclusion, sorry, I guess I just got to find other people. I got to find other collaborators. And there's kind of, I mean, in my life, like my my most important relationship is with my little white dog and my family, my dad and my brother. Those are the top tier relationships. And then I have, you know, my closest friends, but I can't say more or less important, but like really, really, really up there are artistic collaborators. Like I want to have like long-term collaborations. And I don't even have all the collaborations I'd like to have. Like I would love to have somebody to dialogue with, you know, on YouTube. I would love to do collabs. I would love to have, I did do, okay, earlier this year, I did do a photo shoot with a new photographer that I hadn't worked with before, and that shit turned out so good. But he lives really far away. So like, I want to have a photographer, you know, I want to have a sound engineer. I'd like to have a co-writer, you know, like that guy, the guitar guy. He's pretty down for it. Actually, I'm the one who dropped the ball on that, so that's good. I would love to have like somebody, you know, we could like sort of bounce ideas off each other, like video podcast style. So artistic collaborators, I'm like super monogamous. I mean, not that it's, you know, of course, like work with different people and you get all kinds of different things, but like, I don't want to reinvent the wheel all the time. I hate that. I want to keep working with the same people. And so, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm not right for them, then that's okay. I don't need to be right for them, but I need to find people that I'm right for them and they're right for me. I was really heart set on writing and publishing a book this year, and I got consistently like derailed on this. And pretty much my first book idea, I ended up writing 3 separate manuscripts that they were all like 26,000 words or so each. And this was intended, fuck it, I'm not even gonna go into it. I can't even stand to go into it. I just kept getting like blown up by stuff this year. And so then I would get away from the manuscript. And then when I came back to it, I was like, oh, you know, it could be different this way. And I actually just like became so traumatized. I became so traumatized with the process of trying to write a book and having like uncontrollable, very upsetting things happen in my life. And even if not very upsetting, in some cases they were, but just like uncontrollably pulling me away in ways that I cannot control, that I just stopped. I just set it down. And it's not until here in the last couple of weeks that I actually have kind of snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. And I actually have a really good manuscript going right now. Even that's been a bit of a story, which I'm not going to get into. And it's a different book than what I was trying to write earlier. But I mean, okay, let's go all the way back. In terms of like me writing some really good shit, 2025 is a great year. I mean, amazing stuff that I wrote in terms of that being able to like get traction here lately. Yes. The whole rest of the year, no. And that's kind of heartbreaking for me. This represents like an unbelievable amount of like work and attention on my part that I was not able to like properly convert, you know? And that's the whole fucking year that's how the whole fucking year went. Okay. So of course it went that way. Body and nervous system. Let's have some good news. Okay. So honestly, I mean, sorry, I feel like this is gonna sound like a dick thing to say. I'm just gonna say it. Like, when you're almost 50 and you have a body as good as I have, and you like look as like I look so super fucking good naked. Like I don't worry about, like, I can wear any clothes I want. I could be doing goddamn OnlyFans for money. Do you know what I mean? I really could. I mean, I don't really know. I'm not like on there. Like, I don't know what people do, and I'm not gonna do that. Like, I can't do that shit. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird. It's weird to have, and it's not an accident. Like, I work on strength. I work on barbell. I do bench press, standing press, squat, deadlift. I do 4 things. I do 4 things for fitness. It's not even about fitness. It's about strength. And it's like, I just do those things over and over and over. And I made massive epic gains this year. Massive epic gains. And I'm sitting at a level of like body composition, you know, in terms of like my fat versus my muscle and my just musculature and like my overall proportions and you know, everything just so good. It's just so good. And it's like weird to it's its own, you know, it's its own reward, obviously. Like I walk around and I experience the reward of that like every moment of every day. Like I love living in my body. I feel so good living in my body. When I look at in the mirror, I feel good. Like everything is good. Everything is good about that, you know? And this is because of a systems level thinking, right? It's because of a lot of things, but it's like there's so many copes. There's so many like aesthetic and like physical and like fitness frenzy, especially for women, like copes that are down here. And it's just like throwing spaghetti at the wall. And I got upstream of all of those through barbell lifting, which is literally what everyone should do. I'm sorry to be so prescriptive, but like you should just, you should stop all the shit you're doing and you should start lifting barbell, progressive overload. Nobody wants to hear this. Again, nobody wants to like hear the shit I have to say, which this is what my New Year's resolutions are about, is to like stop saying the things that I know now that nobody wants to hear. But it's just if you get upstream of like all of the fucking problems, then you don't have all of the fucking problems. You know what I mean? So I have like 99 problems. Like I have a ton of fucking problems, but I don't have those, right? Like I get to walk around in a body that looks good and feels good and looks good in all my clothes and everything every day, like at the age of almost 50 as a woman. You know what I mean? So it's just, that's amazing. And I enjoy strength. I enjoy having strength. I enjoy training strength. I enjoy barbell. I enjoy my workouts. Like it's like a secure attachment for me, to be honest. It's just, it's like a relationship that I get to have with that. And no matter where I go, no matter what I'm doing, I am figuring out how to get to a gym. And so this is a big thing about 2025, is that I already kind of was this way, but I'm so blown up with work and I travel so much and I have a fly in, fly out job and it's like remote locations. And so there had been long stretches of time where it wasn't even like I took the opportunity to work out when I did have it in some shitty, you know, hotel gym where they don't even have the stuff I need. But it's just like I would get into a funk, you know, and I'd be like, if I can't do this the right way, I'm just not going to do it. So then I would get back from my season, my fire season, and be like kind of starting from scratch. And I was just having this like wild pendulum swinging, even though I was strong, you know, and I already knew like how to train strength. So I can say that 2025 was a big win for me on that, because this is the year I just decided like full retard gorilla mode. Like I just don't care. I don't care like where I am or what I'm doing or where I'm working or what the travel is looking like. I'm gonna find I'm gonna find a barbell and I'm gonna work out. And I have like lifted weights and done barbell like in the middle of various forests, you know, this year. I've been in like wildly different like radical locations and just working out at home and bench pressing with no spotter. And I'm just like, it's gonna happen. I'm so tired of the pendulum swinging, you know. And it's like, yeah, and like muscle is very durable, so it's not like I like looked good and then I looked bad. I mean, it's like it was fine, but I just don't feel good, you know. I just don't feel good when I'm not lifting. So I just made it a huge priority, and it's paid off. It's like I've like doubled, you know, some of my lifts. It's incredible. It's incredible what I've done this year. And you just grind at it. Like I've doubled my overhead press, which is like super amazing. I got up to 185 on my squat. I have backed down a little bit from that because my form wasn't looking so good at that weight. I got up to 225 on my deadlift. I backed off of that a little bit to work more on volume, but yeah, I mean, just like incredible for my weight and my size, you know, like I'm super happy. So, my central nervous system feels great. My body feels great. It looks great. Like, I don't have all the problems you could, like, I don't want to have that problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, your values are why you live, your finances are how you live, but your body is where you live. My body is where I live, and I cannot have that shit feeling bad. And there's been a lot of, good, like walking, running, sprinting, like all kinds of stuff, but no, I'm so happy with that. Has it translated into anything? Have I gotten to be doing all the modeling that I wanted to be doing, or like have sex, or like have a relationship, or like have anything going on? No, the fuck I haven't, I'm just, I'm just like in this little like bubble, enjoying the feeling of living in my skin. And that's fine. That's fucking fine. Okay. Relationships. So no, but I will say this is interesting. The December 3rd was the 4-year anniversary of my boyfriend dying. And this is I realized it on December 4th. So every December 3rd, ever since he died in 2021, I mean, that was a bad day for me. Obviously, as you can imagine, that was a bad fucking day. Even up to like a month or two before the anniversary of his death the next year in 2022, I was starting to, I'm not going to call them panic attacks. I'm like way too calm of a person to be like having but whatever my version of a panic attack is, I was having, it was starting to get really, really like really dysregulated, 2023 was, 2023 was not as bad, because it just, time heals all wounds, but it takes a long time. 2024, a little bit better. So here, 2025, all December 3rd, I guess I was busy doing something else. And it wasn't until I was walking to the gym on December 4th that I was like, oh, fuck. Like Nick's like 4-year anniversary of his death was yesterday. And that's actually like really beautiful in a way, it's really beautiful to be able to like not have remembered. I know that I don't know how that sounds, but sorry, I get kind of emotional talking about it. I knew I held on to the relationship for as long as I did, even though it was kind of like being on a crashing plane, because I just knew that I was going to be likely single for a really long time. And I'm actually really okay with being single. I wanted to make a life with that guy, and he had a lot of demons. So, how did 2025 go in terms of dating? It didn't, and generally it doesn't. And it's not because I'm not ready, because on some levels I am, but I have a really weird lifestyle, and I have a really like peculiar sense of like the ways that I want to engage my time, and basically like the way that I would have to like intersect with somebody in terms of lifestyle would be kind of unusual, but not casual. Yeah, that's what it is. Like I wouldn't, I have this, again, everything with me is weird. Like I don't want any kind of casual relationship, but I don't want my lifestyle to look like the normal sort of escalation of a non-casual relationship, because I really value the time that I have away from like working, because when I work really intensely to be able to write and do creative projects and stuff like that. So it's like, it's kind of a mismatch there that is like kind of unintelligible and like hard for people to understand. And it doesn't matter, because I'm, that's just not what it's about. Like relationships aren't what it's about. And another thing that I've realized is, I think that I'm going to get out of this. It's fine. I think that whoever it is that's going to be like a good match for me, they're probably going to have to approach me like through my work on some level, like through writing, through publishing, through music, like through YouTube, through Substack, like something like that. Because when I when I meet people organically, at the gym or like whatever, the same thing always happens. They're like, what do you do for fun? Something like that. And then everything that's the first point at which the conversation falls apart. And I know that that's such a normal question. Like, what do you do for fun? What are your hobbies? What do you do for fun? And like, I just don't live in a world. I don't like live in a life where that's like an answerable question. And I know that probably sounds so weird, but it's just not. Like when I'm not like actively like traveling for work or like fueling a fucking helicopter, like which I chose a job that mostly allows me to do the things I still like to do, which is like work out every day and like write and like do shit like that. Like be working the whole time I was like on my contract in Quincy this summer, like at the Helitac base, I was like working on Suno music production. You know what I mean? Like I don't, I guess, is that a hobby? I guess it is. I think when people say hobby, they mean like, what do you do to kill time to forget about stuff until finally you like fall into a grave one day and die? Or like, what the fuck do they mean? Like, what do they mean by hobbies? I don't understand it. I have like projects. I have projects that I'm working on, and I get a little frustrated that, you know, when for reasons of collaboration collapse, or I need to, you know, travel so much, or I have jet lag, or like something's pulling me away from it, or I got stuck on it, or whatever. Like there's just, I have projects and like that's all I want to do. And then that's it. So it's like I don't want to like go to like a sporting event or play frisbee golf, or like I don't want to kill time. I don't have any time to kill. So I get, yeah, right off the bat, these kinds of like normal conversations that are, you know, with dating or courtship or whatever, like I just don't know. I don't know how to get around. So I feel like my, you know, output somehow is going to have to be like the mating call that like people are like, oh, she's really into her fucking shit. And then they're already going to get that. Like there already has to be some kind of like frame of reference that makes sense for them. Because otherwise they're just like, oh, that's like a fairly attractive woman. Let me go chat her up. And then they're like, do you have any? And then it just goes from there. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is the recurrent thing, you know? I guess what I'm saying is 2025 has really been about realizing this. It's been about like realizing that what am I realizing? Unintelligibility is going to have to become like part of the, I'm going to have to like price that in. I'm going to have to price that in. Fucking A. This is way wilder than I expected. Okay. Work, money, leverage. Jesus Christ. Who wrote this list? Okay. I tried a new employer this year. I had to switch from my old employer. I didn't want to switch from my old employer. Other helicopter company, the old employer, I'm very loyal, and I'm, like I said, I'm just sort of monogamous about everything. I just don't like to change stuff. So if I can just get a thing that's like working out and going on, like I hate new shit. I hate it. I just want to have the same friends and drive the same car and like live in the same place and like just do the same thing. Like, and I think that this is like a trauma response to like how much change I've had, you know, just like how much reinvention of the wheel all the time. But like, I am not looking to change stuff just to change it. So when I was basically forced to like change companies, it wasn't because it was sustainable. Like it just wasn't, it couldn't, you know. Part of that was because I insist on bringing my little dog to work, and employers aren't into that. You know, I'm a single mom of a dog, so that, like, what the fuck am I gonna do? But on the other side, there aren't that many, like, I'm kind of a unicorn. Like, there aren't that many, like, Class A commercial drivers, like, no background issues, no safety issues, no tickets, no violations, all the endorsements, super familiar, super comfortable working like fly in, fly out, like remote gigs, like seasonal work, like high stress environments, like hot fueling helicopters. Like the skill set that I have is rare. and not only like on a credential level, but like on a temperament level. Like you can fucking park me on the side of a mountain and I'm fine. Like I'm not gonna like freak out or be like, oh, you gotta give me time off. Like you know what I mean? Like if you got me in the truck and I'm like I'm gonna hold that shit down. Send me wherever, I'll hold it down. I'm not gonna cause a problem. So there's that, you know what I mean? But I just need to have my little dog with me. So it's always negotiation. So my other company, it was like Schrodinger's deal. Like my dog was like Schrodinger's deal breaker, where when they were like staffed up, they were like, oh, it's a deal breaker, and I was like out of work, and then they would get understaffed, and they'd be like, oh, fucking emergency, can you come do all this stuff? And I'd be like, sure. And then I go drive all over the goddamn United States and up in Canada and take shit down across the border in Montana and like just do anything I need to do. And never a problem. My dog, not a problem. Me, not a problem, you know? But then it was a thing with management, but then there was also another thing going on with management. There was a lot of like operational chaos. Ultimately, the lifestyle sucked for me. So then I switched to new company. So this is the year that I started with that new company. That was great. This is an amazing company. So within a couple weeks, but their one deal breaker was I couldn't bring my dog with me, which is fucked up. But I had a really good workaround, finally, because I usually haven't. I had a really good workaround. So within a couple weeks, everything was going good. My really good workaround for baby care with my dog, like kind of fucked up, and like she got lost in the desert. And then I had to leave work, and I was like losing my mind. And she was found about 48 hours later. She didn't die. She almost died. And then I realized that I can't do this. Like I had, for 10 years, I've insisted on bringing my dog with me. And I've experienced a lot of like friction about that, you know? And then like within a couple weeks of being like, okay, well, let me not do that, she almost died. So then because I left work emergently, there was coverage, but because of all this, I ended up being like laid off for like 8 weeks and then like barely getting in at the last of the season. It greatly impacted my income and also probably wasn't a great look with the employer. So everything was like off to a really great start with the new employer. And then like, I don't really know where things stand now. I really don't know. I have something different that I want to try to do for 2026 and we'll see. It would be a different industry, same thing, different industry, but a bit of a fucked year there. Okay. It was a bit fucked. Also, I need to move because I figured out that like, again, workaround not working, like flying in and out of Hawaii, where I currently live with my dog, which is, I mean, there's nothing about that that's a problem, but Hawaii, like on a bureaucratic level, makes it so expensive and difficult, you know, for me to do that every 12 days. I figured out how to do it, but it's like, I gotta move. Like, I can't do that. I can't do that. So, money wasn't good this year. Bitcoin mining wasn't good. Bitcoin price wasn't good. Silver was good here lately. New company was good, but for reasons, you know, I wasn't able to like capitalize on it as much as I wanted. So yeah, kind of fucked there. Kind of not good. Kind of not good. If anybody listening to this, I can't imagine anyone would be, but if you have like connections in offshore, like in the Gulf, not like the North Sea, but like offshore, they fuel helicopters there. That's the direction I want to go for like more year-round work. So please let me know if you have some kind of hookup or something, but I'm sure I can negotiate it on my own. Okay, creative output. So I am really happy with this YouTube channel. And that's one of the reasons that I haven't done like a thing like this before, because I haven't set this up before. I gained 258 subscribers this year. I think I had like 10 before. I just had some random stuff on there. I wasn't active. I uploaded like 51 videos this year. I've just been figuring it out. Again, point number one, I'm not AI. Point number two, I have struggled to like figure out how to make myself intelligible and to like understand what it is that I'm trying to work within. And that's not a great going in position for a channel. But some of my favorite people, you know, they're just really like original thinkers and like authentic. And please, this video isn't a representation of what I hope to bring to bear, but I've had some, like sort of like moderate successes this year. I've ended up focusing on kind of like man-woman stuff, but as like a systems analysis type thinker, not ideological shitstorm type thinker. Here lately, because I realized that dialogue is just so broken. But like one of my better performing videos was called "The Homath Guy Was Right," and Homath is a guy that he's like a pickup artist guy that's like figured out. It's like 150 years of like feminist literature could not whatsoever like demystify what the fuck is going on for women or us. Like we're still so unable to sort of like articulate like what makes us tick. Because feminism was it's ideological. It's ideological. It's not systems analysis. It's ideological. That's what I'm writing about right now. That's the book that I'm going to be publishing, and it's going to be a really good book. But like the Homath Guy Was Right, that video, that one, it's fine. What I realized is that men hate women so fucking much right now, and they're so angry at women, and they don't actually hate women. They don't actually, but they hate the shit that's going on right now, and you don't have to be like the smartest person in the world to just make some rational, like non-hysterical observations about gender for men to be like, thank you. And I'm not like pandering to a male audience. I'm really confused about who or what my audience could ever possibly be, because I'm still trying to like figure out what it is that like I have to say and how I want to say it. But like all you have to do in the like gender dialogue place is to like say some non-crazy shit that isn't there's no reason to point fingers. There's no reason to point fingers about gender. Like we have the biggest finger to point at the biggest problem, which is fiat collapse, which is like the money, the broken money, the intentionally broken money, like fucking the incentive landscape for everybody everywhere. Like all of this is literally downstream of that. And then for men and women to be like pointing the finger at each other is like so not helpful, and like so boring, honestly. It's like when women are like this, and it's like, yeah, they are. It's like so annoying. And then men are like that, and it's like, yeah, like that's so annoying too. We're traumatized people. We're traumatized people, like trying to like be rational and make rational decisions in a incentive landscape that is like not rational, and it punishes virtue and rewards vice. And like that's the fucking problem. Like we coexisted for 300,000 years just fine. Just fine. Feminism tells us that it was always fucked up, and the patriarchy was like always down on women. That's fucking fake news. It's fucking fake news. So it's not, I guess it's not a total coincidence that some of my better performing videos ended up being things that I leaned into, but it's like, I feel like it's kind of wild to like step into a place that's characterized by just like the meanest hot takes, on both sides. And then if you just like literally say something that like sort of like gives grace to both sides and isn't irrational, isn't irrational, then like you kind of get a lot of traction. And it's something that I'm into anyway. I'm really interested in like brokering a better dialogue, I guess. And I made some songs, and everything was kind of fucked up, creative white, but whatever. Anyway, there's been a lot of writing. Attempts were made. I can't even read my own handwriting. Hard lessons, I would say, okay, this is going to be quick. It's not about, like, I learned, like, I need to not like write people off faster, but just like write off like mismatches, you know, like sort of categorize things better, and then have a better protocol for myself about like what gets slotted into where, and like what gets my attention and what doesn't, what gets my bandwidth and what doesn't, and what gets like escalated and what gets de-escalated. Like that's because my shit's kind of loosey goosey, and it's been hard to sort of like, I can't really like take on other people's protocols for how they like sort of govern their affairs, because they don't have the same values that I do. And like, um I gotta have my own. And it's been hard to sort of figure that out, sort of like where, like how to handle the flow, the flow. And so yeah, I've had some like, I don't know, like frustrating interpersonal things this year. And it's I'm not wrong, they're not wrong, nobody's bad. It's just like I got to have a better way of, it's like, again, with the systems analysis, it's not personal. um it's just like procedural. It's procedural. I need to get better at the sort of like procedural level of like earlier on, like at lower levels of escalation, being like, appears we have like a fundamental mismatch here. So let's just acknowledge that, let's acknowledge it, like that kind of thing. Having fewer, here's another thing, people getting sort of like Hannah fever, where I give them a lot of my attention for whatever reason is going on with me at a certain point, and then they kind of get like hooked on it, and then it's like I pull my attention back because that was like shit's different now, and then they're sort of like cheap, 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 and I have to become more disciplined, in terms of like sometimes not giving people my full attention or bandwidth, even when I want to, because I know that it's not sustainable for me, and that's going to pull them into some kind of like dynamic that's going to ultimately like feel bad for them, because I don't, I just kind of, I don't know. I guess I just always assume that people are just like happy doing their thing, and just kind of like sort of I am like just have a rich inner life, and like it's going to be fine. And shit comes and goes, like easy come, easy go, and then people feel really abandoned by me. They feel really abandoned by me, but I can't maintain them. And I didn't realize that I was signing up for that. It's like something like that. So, I am trying to get a better protocol for, keeping shit on a level that's like works for me and is like intelligible for them, and where there's fewer feelings hurt, or people feeling abandoned, and or me feeling like I have to feed stray cats or whatever. And it's not, nobody's wrong, it's not anybody's fault. It's just that this is a thing I got to get better at. And then, Jesus Christ, carry into 2026. Sorry, Buff, I just scared my dog. What am I going to carry into 2026? Yeah, I'm really kind of into this like systems analysis idea. I never thought about myself through this lens. I always thought about myself through more of like a creative, expressive, artistic lens. But even that hasn't been intelligible to people in those spaces. It's it's been weird. It's been weird. I think I figured out in 2025 that I'm like more like an engineer in some kind of way than I realized. And I'm gonna take that energy into 2026, because I'm naturally, I'm not like unemotional, but I'm not emotional. Do you know what I mean? And it's really weird for me to be around people. Like, I don't like being around like volatile people that are flaring out. Like, I'm emotional in my own way. So there's something that really works for me about a sort of like systems level, analysis level, literally thinking about things in terms of like plumbing. This is something that just hadn't ever quite happened for me before. And I think that 2026 is going to be a better year for sort of like leaning into that, leaning into that. Okay. I really hope no one watched this. If you watch this, I'm sorry. But it was my intention to do this mostly for myself for next year, like a pretty self-indulgent 2025 recap to celebrate the fact that I have a YouTube channel to do this on, that's kind of cool. And you know what? Bonus, I'm not AI. I'm definitely not AI. Anyway, if anyone is still watching this, and I hope you're not, I hope you have a wonderful New Year's Eve. I hope you have a wonderful 2026. I hope I have a wonderful 2026. It turns out it's really hard to talk about the year that you had. Like, I got into that. I was just like, Jesus Christ. I guess that's why I haven't done this before, because that was kind of like that was like going through a car wash without a car. That was kind of crazy. Anyway, okay. Well, that's it. I mean, I'm spent. So now we're done. And much love to you. If you've subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to be doing, probably not the best, most targeted content in the world. It's not going to be the most polished, splashy content, but it's certainly going to be fucking super authentic and much more targeted than, much more dialed in than this. This is just, I'm having my New Year's Eve. Okay.